God gave them exactly what they asked for, and it became their downfall. Today, we're diving into a fascinating story from the Old Testament, one that feels surprisingly relevant to our lives today. It's found in 1 Samuel chapter 8, and it's a powerful lesson about getting exactly what you ask for, and then realizing it might not be what you truly needed. I like to call it the blessing that was actually a warning. So, let's set the scene. For generations, Israel had been led by judges, figures raised up by God in times of crisis to deliver the people. Think of Gideon, Deborah, and Samson. But the last judge was the prophet Samuel, and he was getting old. His sons, who were supposed to follow in his footsteps, were unfortunately corrupt. They were taking bribes and perverting justice. The people saw this and, understandably, they were worried about the future. Who would lead them? Who would protect them from their enemies? This is where things get interesting. The elders of Israel come to Samuel with a proposal. They say, "You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." On the surface, this sounds reasonable, right? They wanted stability. They wanted a strong, centralized leader who could command an army and give them a sense of national identity. They looked around at the powerful kingdoms surrounding them: the Philistines, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and they all had kings. It seemed like the logical next step, the modern, progressive thing to do. They wanted to be like everyone else. But this request deeply troubled Samuel. It wasn't just a political suggestion, it was a spiritual rejection. So, Samuel did what he always did: he prayed to the Lord. And God's response is one of the most crucial moments in the entire story. God tells Samuel, "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king." Wow, let that sink in. The people's desire for an earthly king was a rejection of God's divine kingship. For centuries, God had been their leader, their protector, their king. He had parted the Red Sea, provided manna in the wilderness, and delivered them from countless enemies. He was the ultimate authority. But now, the people were tired of this invisible, divine king. They wanted someone they could see, someone tangible, a human king just like the other nations. They were trading their unique relationship with God for the sake of conformity. God instructs Samuel to grant their request, but not without a solemn warning. He tells Samuel to lay out, in crystal clear detail, what life under a human king would actually look like. This is the core of the warning, the fine print on the contract they were so eager to sign. Samuel gathers the people and delivers God's message. He says, "This is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. First, he will take your sons. He'll draft them into his army, making them serve with his chariots and horses. Some will be commanders, others will be forced to plow his ground, reap his harvest, and make his weapons." The dream of a king to fight their battles for them came with a cost. Their own children would be the ones fighting and serving. But it doesn't stop there. Samuel continues, "He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers." Their daughters would be taken from their homes to serve in the royal palace, their lives no longer their own. The very fabric of their family life would be disrupted to serve the king's court. Next, the economic cost. Samuel warns, "He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants." Their property, the land that God had given them as an inheritance, would be seized and redistributed to the king's favorites. They would have to give a tenth of their grain and their wine to the king to support his vast administration. A tenth of their flocks would also be taken. In essence, the people themselves would become the king's slaves. Samuel lays it all out: conscription, forced labor, confiscation of property, and heavy taxation. He's painting a picture not of a glorious kingdom, but of an oppressive regime that would take and take and take from the very people it was supposed to protect. He concludes with this chilling line, "When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day." This is the ultimate warning. God is saying, you can have what you want. You can have your king. But when you realize the heavy price you have to pay, when you are suffering under the weight of this choice, Don't come crying to me. This is the path you chose." So, how did the people react to this terrifying prophecy? Did they reconsider? Did they say, "Oh, wait, maybe this isn't such a good idea after all"? No. The Bible tells us, but the people refused to listen to Samuel. No. They said, "We want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles." They heard the warning, they understood the consequences, and they still chose the king. Their desire to fit in, to be like everyone else, was so strong that it overshadowed God's clear warning of the pain and servitude that would follow. They traded freedom under God for slavery under a man because it looked better from the outside. And so, God gave them a king. Saul was chosen, and at first, he looked the part. He was tall, handsome, and a capable military leader. But as the story unfolds, we see Samuel's warnings come true, not just with Saul, but with the kings who followed. The history of Israel's monarchy is filled with stories of forced labor, like Solomon's building projects, heavy taxation that eventually split the kingdom in two, and kings who led the people into idolatry and injustice. The very thing they thought would save them became a source of immense suffering. So what's the takeaway for us today? This story is a powerful reminder to be careful what we wish for. How often do we look at what others have, their careers, their relationships, their lifestyles, and think, "I want that"? We want to be like the other nations we see on social media or in our social circles. We want the visible, tangible symbols of success, just like Israel wanted a visible, tangible king. But we often don't see the fine print. We don't see the cost, the sacrifice, the potential for pain that comes with those choices. We might chase a high-paying job only to find it demands all our time and energy, leaving us empty. We might rush into a relationship because we're lonely, ignoring the red flags that Samuel's warning represents. This story challenges us to examine our desires. Are we asking for things that align with God's will for our lives, or are we just trying to keep up with the world around us? Are we willing to trust in God's unseen leadership, or do we demand a king with solution we can see and control? The people of Israel rejected God as their king because they wanted to be like everyone else. Let's learn from their mistake. Let's have the courage to be different, to trust in God's plan even when it doesn't look like what the rest of the world is doing. Let's seek His kingdom first, trusting that the invisible King knows far better what we truly need than we do. The best blessings are the ones that lead us closer to Him, not the ones that make us look good to everyone else. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next video.